I cheated after 9 years of marriage and thought I could hide it. He found out, said nothing, and rebuilt his life without me. By the time I realized what I destroyed, I was the only one left alone. I never thought I would be the villain in my own story. It is 1:47 in the morning, and I am sitting alone in a one-bedroom apartment on the edge of Columbus, listening to the hum of the refrigerator and trying to understand how I burned down a decade of love in less than 2 months. I betrayed my husband, not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way, no screaming fights, no shattered glass, just quiet choices, small deliberate steps that led somewhere I swore I would never go. I am 35. My husband, Aaron, is 37. We were together for 11 years, married for 8. We met at a campus volunteer event at Ohio State University. He was studying engineering. I was majoring in communications. We built our life slowly, carefully. Saturday morning grocery runs, road trips with bad playlists, a shared savings account labeled future. People used to say we were solid, then life shifted. When the company Aaron worked for went fully remote after a restructuring, he started working from home permanently. At first, I loved it. He would make breakfast between meetings. He would walk me to the door before I left for work. It felt intimate, almost romantic, but over time something in me grew restless. I still commuted downtown every day. I thrived on office chatter, noise, movement. He thrived in quiet. He wanted to talk in the evenings. Long conversations about projects, about dinner plans, about maybe starting to look at houses outside the city. I felt crowded, even though he was just loving me the way he always had. Instead of saying that out loud, I stayed later at the office. I volunteered for extra projects. I said traffic was worse than usual. I told myself I needed independence. That is when I started noticing Ryan. He worked in finance on the 10th floor, 32, charismatic, the kind of man who remembers how you take your coffee after hearing it once. Our paths had crossed for years in elevators, but suddenly we were talking, first about work, then about music, then about frustrations. He listened with this intensity that made me feel important. I told myself it was harmless. Lunch turned into after-work drinks with a group. The group slowly shrank until it was just the two of us. He would rest his hand lightly on my back when we walked through crowded bars. I never moved it away. The first lie I told Aaron was simple. I have a late meeting. The second lie was easier. I'm grabbing dinner with coworkers. The scariest part is how quickly lying became normal. I was still packing Aaron's lunch, still laughing at our old jokes, still planning a weekend trip for our anniversary. Meanwhile, I was texting another man past midnight. Ryan made me feel like I was 20 again, unburdened, desired, interesting. With Aaron, I felt safe. With Ryan, I felt exciting. I convinced myself I deserved both. The night everything crossed the line was after a department celebration. I had too much wine. Ryan offered to drive me home. We did not go to my house. There was a moment outside his building when I could have walked away. I remember staring at the glass doors and thinking, if you go inside, there is no undoing this. I went inside. I am not going to describe what happened. The details are not important. What matters is that I made a decision. I chose temporary validation over permanent trust. When I came home, Aaron was asleep on the couch. A documentary paused mid-sentence. There was a plate of pasta on the counter covered in foil, a sticky note that said, "Heat this up, I love you." I stood in the kitchen and cried without making a sound, and then I did it again, 5 more times over the next 6 weeks. Each time I promised myself it would be the last. Each time I returned home and played the role of devoted wife. I became frighteningly good at compartmentalizing. Eventually, Ryan grew distant. Replies were shorter. Plans harder to schedule. I felt irrationally wounded. The arrogance of that realization still makes me sick. I was betraying my husband and felt offended that the man helping me do it was losing interest. I ended it first, pretending I was reclaiming control. We agreed to keep things professional. I drove home feeling hollow, not redeemed. For 2 weeks I convinced myself I had gotten away with it. I would be better, more attentive, More grateful I would bury the guilt deep enough that it would stop clawing at my insides. Then Aaron found the messages. I had deleted almost everything. Almost. One thread remained, just enough to expose the truth. I walked out of the shower to find him sitting on the edge of the bed, my phone in his hand. He was not yelling, he was not shaking, he just looked older. "Who is Ryan?" he asked. I tried to stall. My voice sounded strange, like it belonged to someone else. He read one of the messages aloud. My own words sounded foreign in his mouth. "Did you sleep with him?" he asked. I nodded. He stood up, placed the phone on the dresser, and walked out of the room. I heard the front door close. He did not come back that night. When he returned 2 days later, it was to pack a suitcase. I begged, I apologized. I said it meant nothing. "It meant everything," he replied quietly. "It means I can't trust you. It means the life I thought we had wasn't real." He did not scream. He did not insult me. That almost hurt more. He moved in with his sister across town. A week later, I learned he had reconnected with old friends he had drifted from over the years. He started going to the gym again. He looked lighter when I saw him at the lawyer's office, like someone who had finally set down a heavy weight. Yesterday I received the official divorce papers. There is no dramatic twist, no sudden reconciliation. No revelation that saves us, just consequences. I wanted to feel desired for a few hours. I wanted to escape the discomfort of growing older, of feeling ordinary. Instead of communicating, instead of facing my insecurities, I detonated the safest relationship I had ever known. Aaron is rebuilding, slowly, steadily. I am the one sitting awake at night, replaying every choice, understanding too late that betrayal is not one moment. It is a series of small permissions you grant yourself until you no longer recognize who you have become. This is the aftermath, and I am finally alone long enough to see it clearly.